Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first progress report of my PhD about the cardiometabolic health and safety of selected drug classes. My name is Sevda. I'm currently a medical student involved in the first-year MD PhD program under the Department of Pharmacology and Pharmacotherapy, and this is my research team. My vision is to enhance cardioprotective strategies by investigating how existing treatments can be further optimized to improve cardiometabolic health. Now, imagine a world where the next breakthrough in the treatment of cardiovascular and metabolic disease lies in the treatments that we already have waiting to be rediscovered. By investigating the repurposing potential of existing treatments, we can not only save time, but we can also reduce cost and bring innovative treatments to patients faster than ever before. Now, this approach aligns with my current purpose of investigating the cardiometabolic effects of MAO inhibitors. My first project will focus on the cardiac outcomes of MAO inhibitors in animal models. Before I dive into the specifics of my research question, I would like to first talk about key characteristics of MAO enzymes. MAO enzymes are responsible for breaking down monoamines like serotonin and dopamine. Inhibiting this mechanism with MAO inhibitors prevents the breakdown of monoamines, leading to improved mood and motor control. This is used in treating neuropsychiatric conditions like major depressive disorder and Parkinson's disease. Now, although MAO inhibitors have a well-established role in treating neuropsychiatric conditions, its cardiometabolic effects remains underexplored. Current studies regarding this area show that increased MAO activity correlates with aging and heart failure, with an exacerbation of oxidative stress. Preclinical studies show that MAO inhibitors, which have a long marketing timeline and a well-tolerable risk profile, have shown potential in improving cardiovascular health by reducing adiposity. Therefore, we aim to prove this cardiac benefits of MAO inhibitors with supporting preclinical evidence. This brings us to our first research question. Do MAO inhibitors have cardiovascular benefits in animal models? To address this, we'll be using a PICO framework. Our population will be animal models of chronic heart failure receiving MAO inhibitors as treatments. They'll be compared to the control group receiving vehicle treatment like saline, and our outcome measures will be key cardiac function parameters like fractional shortening and ejection fraction. We hypothesize that preclinical evidence do suggest a cardiac improvement with MAO inhibitor use, and by confirming this, we can suggest the potential use of MAO inhibitors as therapeutic agents for cardiovascular disease. To answer this research question, I have used three main domains for my search key, divided into intervention, disease, and species, and these were finally searched against three different databases. With the help of duplicate removal, we have managed to narrow down by 1,000 articles, leaving us now with around 2,800 articles. Before moving on to my next project, I would like to share the overall progress of my first project. The topic was deemed feasible, the Prospero was submitted successfully, and we're currently in the process of title and abstract selection. My next project will focus on the metabolic outcomes in animal models. Now, why is this important? Metabolic disorder is a broad category that involves disrupted energy conversion, enzyme dysfunction, and affects biochemical pathways. Metabolic syndrome is a specific subset or a one-way manifestation of metabolic disorder that reflects how interconnected outcomes of metabolic dysfunction can lead to four major health impacts like obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular disease. These four major health impacts collectively contribute to a growing global health crisis, which highlights the need for an innovative strategy. Emerging preclinical evidence have shown that MAO inhibitors holds an untapped potential in metabolic health, since it can block different key components that lead to metabolic syndrome. Specifically, in a diet-induced obesity model, MAO inhibitors have shown to reduce fat content and visceral adiposity. Moreover, MAO inhibitors can also improve glucose metabolism by increasing insulin sensitivity and lowering blood glucose levels. And lastly, in animals receiving cholesterol-enriched diet, MAO inhibitors have shown to reduce plasma, triglyceride, and cholesterol levels. With this, we want to investigate the metabolic benefits of MAO inhibitors with supporting preclinical evidence. This brings us to our next clinical question. Do MAO inhibitors have metabolic benefits in animal models? This time our animal models will be having metabolic disorders like obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and dyslipidemia. They will receive MAO inhibitors as treatment and will be compared to the control group receiving vehicle treatment like saline. Our outcome measures will be specific to the metabolic disorders that we'll be investigating, and we hypothesize that preclinical evidence do suggest metabolic benefits with MAO inhibitor use. By confirming this, we can suggest the potential use of MAO inhibitors as therapeutic agents for metabolic disease prevention and management. The search key for this project will be similar to that of the previous one. However, this time, domain 2 for the disease will be specific to the metabolic disorders that we would like to investigate. Finally, I'm aiming to submit these 2 projects within 1 year. And I would like to end this presentation by a quote from Seneca: "Luck is when preparation meets opportunity." Thank you for your kind attention.
You mentioned that you are going to do an animal model experiment, but why wouldn't you do like a human experiment?
Yes, I receive this question every time I present the study. So I have actually started this project by doing a preliminary search on clinical data. We have found that although MAO inhibitors have been on the market since 1959, it's pretty underutilized, and most of these studies investigate the cardiovascular side effects of MAO inhibitors. Therefore, they would exclude patients with cardiovascular comorbidities. However, I am planning on doing a more official selection protocol, just so I could include this and identify this important clinical gap, whether it's going to be with a different project or it's going to be just a single sentence on my first project. That I don't know for now. But yes, preclinical study is as important as clinical, though.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Very nice presentation. And I have one question. Why do you include different animals in your study?
So we know that in preclinical studies, usually large animals are physiologically more similar to human. However, they're more expensive, and there are ethical considerations that come with it. For my study, I have included small animals and large animals. The limitation of small animals would be that they have a faster metabolism, so they would require a higher blood flow. Therefore, for example, their ejection fraction is way higher, above 90%. So I decided on, and for example, dogs have a collateral circulation, which often makes it a limit for heart failure studies, because that would mean that in ischemic reperfusion studies, for example, instead of just ligating a coronary artery vessel, they would have to take that collateral circulation into consideration as well. And in ovine and swine models, they're more prone to having arrhythmias. So to reduce this bias, I have tried to include all the animals used in preclinical studies.
Great. Bernadette?
Congratulations on your progress. I would like to ask you, how do they induce heart failure in animal models? I am not really familiar with basic research. Maybe other colleagues also would be interested in this one.
So for heart failure models, we have ischemic reperfusion studies. We have pacing-induced arrhythmias, doxorubicin-induced cardiotoxicity, isoproterenol-induced cardiotoxicity. We have many types. The most often used is ischemic reperfusion studies, models. These usually mimic post-CABG or post-PCI procedures in humans, where there is a sudden calcium overload and oxidative stress. So they try to mimic this in animals also by ligating coronary artery vessels, or they can use balloons as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Korosh, please.
I have a question. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. So regarding the MAO side effects, how are you assessing the side effects in your studies? Because there is a big concerns on MAO side effects, especially with their drug interactions. So I was wondering, how do you assess that in your studies? Thank you.
So regarding side effects, I can talk about the medicational side effects. I talked about the limitations that comes along with animal studies. Usually the heart failure, the authors take this into consideration, so they develop, so if the dogs have a collateral circulation, usually then they would like it at a place that also takes this collateral circulation into consideration. However, what we know right now is the side effects of MAO inhibitors, that it comes with headache, dizziness, GI symptoms like diarrhea or constipation. Drug interactions, if you combine it with other serotonergic drugs, you can have a serotonin syndrome. And without proper diet restrictions, you can have a hypertensive crisis. But if I have to sell MAO inhibitors, I would say that right now they're transdermal patches. And there are also studies stating that actually the incidence of having a hypertensive crisis depends on the class of MAO inhibitors. So there are studies that compares placebo, healthy control, with patients that are receiving reversible type of MAO inhibitors, and they have found that actually the incidence of having a hypertensive crisis is pretty low. It's the same with healthy controls.
Okay, and I would like to ask the last question for you.
Yes, please.
As a cardiologist, do you see into the future? Is it possible that in 10 years from now we need to prescribe antidepressants for cardiovascular reasons?
So there are many studies that talks about the prevalence of having heart failure along with other psychiatric conditions. These studies usually, there are studies talking about how improving heart failure will also improve depression. There are also studies that state that if you improve depression, then that affects the morbidity of heart failure as well. So right now I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I think I will leave it open whether this treatment is going to be prescribed for psychiatric patients that also has heart failure, or was it going to be a treatment only used in heart failure patients?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great answer.